So, when I say the word entrepreneurship, what pops into your head? Probably a tech founder in a hoodie, right? Somewhere in Silicon Valley? But the truth is, that impulse to innovate and build, it's one of the oldest stories in human history. It's a force that has literally shaped civilizations for thousands of years.
It's a fantastic question. I mean, on the surface, they seem like they're from different planets. One is dealing with camels and desert trade routes. The other is navigating lines of code. But believe it or not, there is a single golden thread that connects them across all that time.
And that's the thread. It's this fundamental human drive to see an opportunity where everyone else just sees a problem, and then having the courage to actually do something about it. It really is the engine of progress. So let's trace this incredible story right from the very beginning. Our journey starts way back, in the ancient world. This is where the very first seeds of enterprise were sown, along dusty trade routes and in bustling marketplaces. This is where the blueprint for everything that followed was first drawn up. The sheer timescale here is just mind-blowing. Think about it. 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, we're finding clay tablets that are basically the world's first invoices, tracking loans. Then you have the Phoenicians, who were kind of like the Amazon Prime of the ancient Mediterranean, building this huge trading network. And of course, the legendary Silk Road, it wasn't one single highway. It was this slow, difficult relay of goods and ideas that connected east and west for the first time.
But here's the thing. Not everyone saw entrepreneurs in the same positive light. Culture played a massive role. In Confucian China, for example, merchants were often looked down on. Seen as people who just profited from the hard work of others. But then you hop over to the early Islamic world, and it's a complete 180. Honest trade was held in the highest regard. And that difference in attitude had a huge impact on how their economies grew.
In a quote like this, it's not just a nice saying. It's the foundation of a high-trust culture for business. When trust is baked into the culture like this, it makes bigger, more complex ventures possible. It's what allowed for amazing financial innovations like the sock, a written promise to pay that was basically the granddaddy of the modern bank check.
But individual merchants, no matter how honest, could only do so much. To get bigger, to cross oceans, entrepreneurs needed new tools. They needed entirely new ways to organize themselves and to fund their massive ambitions.
For centuries, you had the medieval guilds. They were stable, sure, and they protected their members, but they were also incredibly restrictive and slow to innovate. The real revolution, the game changer, was the joint stock company. Instead of one person risking everything on a dangerous sea voyage, you could pool money from hundreds of investors. This unlocked the funding for incredibly risky but potentially hugely profitable global ventures.
And the poster child for this new model is the Dutch East India Company, the VOC. And let me tell you, this was not just a company, it was an absolute behemoth. You can really think of it as the world's very first multinational corporation.
And its initial funding? 6.5 million guilders. That is an absolutely astronomical amount of money for the 17th century. This is the power of that new joint stock model in action. We've just jumped from a single merchant's caravan to a corporate-funded fleet of ships.
So this was basically the world's first IPO. And it funded a company that could do way more than just trade. The VOC could negotiate treaties with foreign kings, build fortresses, and even wage its own wars. It totally blurred the lines between private enterprise and the state, and it set the stage for a brand new era of global commerce.
Okay, now hold on, because the pace is about to accelerate dramatically. The next great wave of entrepreneurship was fueled by steam, then steel, and then silicon. It completely reshaped the world in just a couple of hundred years. Just look at how this timeline compresses. The Industrial Revolution gives us titans like Rockefeller. Just a few decades later, Henry Ford doesn't just invent a product, he completely reinvents the process of making things. Then you blink and suddenly we're in the garage with Apple, and then the internet explodes into public life. The key takeaway here, the time between these world-changing innovations just keeps getting shorter and shorter.
This quote from Ford is just perfect. His real genius wasn't just building a car, it was building a system, the moving assembly line, that could make cars so cheaply that almost everyone could afford one. This was the industrial, entrepreneurial mindset in a nutshell. Use process innovation to create and completely own mass markets.
And technology has just completely rewritten the rules of how big your market can be. A 19th century industrialist? They were aiming for a national market, maybe. A 20th century corporation went international, but a tech founder today? They can have a global market from day one, literally from their garage. And that global market is immense. By 2020, there were more than 4 billion people online. That's not just an audience, it's a potential customer base, a global talent pool, and a source of capital that was completely unimaginable to any previous generation of entrepreneurs.
This new digital landscape has created a whole new entrepreneurial playbook. Venture capital now acts like rocket fuel for startups. Social entrepreneurs are tackling huge global problems. The gig economy has turned millions of people into their own bosses. And now, brand new, decentralized technologies like blockchain are starting to challenge the very idea of what a company even is.
So, what's next? Where are we headed? Well, this story is far from over. Let's take a look at the new frontiers, where the entrepreneurs of today and tomorrow are placing their biggest bets.
These are the next great frontiers. You've got AI and automation, green tech, biotech, Web3, and yes, the new space race. These aren't just industries. They represent the biggest challenges we face, and that means they are also the biggest opportunities for the next generation.
And the ambitions here are just staggering. We have entrepreneurs trying to make humanity a multiplanetary species. We have scientists and investors working on the problem of aging itself. And we have a whole army of founders dedicated to building a sustainable, circular economy. The scale of these visions is truly historic.
So after this whole epic journey, what have we learned? Well, the lessons are timeless, aren't they? It's about seeing the next wave coming and learning how to use the new tools, whether that's a clay tablet or an AI model. It's about building networks of trust and capital. It's remembering that business always operates inside a society with ethical rules. And maybe most importantly, it's about having the courage to dream on a scale that seems completely impossible to almost everyone else.
From ancient caravans to interstellar rockets, the story of entrepreneurship is really the story of human potential. It's a continuous narrative of seeing what could be and having the courage to go build it. The next chapter, well, it isn't written yet. So the only real question is, what part will you play in it?